All right, shalom everyone, and welcome back to the Semitic Jew channel. If you're new here, this channel is where we examine biblical texts using logic, language, and context, not just popular theology or political narratives, because today it's going to reflect that. And I'm going to show you, looking at a claim that millions of Christians have heard from pastors like John Hagee, and the production of their material, and they're essentially contradicting the scriptures in a lot of their beliefs. And if you don't have discernment, if you don't know the scriptures, if you're not speaking to Israelites nowadays, then you probably are in the dark about prophecy, because these pastors do not understand prophecy. But this pastor, John Hagee, makes a claim that modern Iran fulfills the prophecy that is found in Ezekiel chapter 38. Now, this teaching is extremely popular in many European American evangelical circles. And so subsequently, every other so-called Christian circle will adopt their teaching, because they're, according to them, is considered the standard. But when you actually read the biblical text carefully, which is a non-European text, their interpretation begins to fall apart. So first of all, I want to introduce you to this clip that I'm about to watch. Watch along with me. But before I respond to it, I want you to listen carefully to what John Hagee is actually saying in this clip. And you have to pay attention to how he connects modern Iran with the prophecy of Persia in Ezekiel 38. Let's listen to the clip together.
The possibility of an all-out war between Iran and Israel is a very real issue. 2,600 years ago, the headlines in the Bible written by the prophet Ezekiel in chapters 38 and 39 describe the condition of the Middle East right now exactly. The Bible describes a war between Persia. Persia is Iran, of course, and a Russian-led coalition of anti-Semitic nations that will join forces to destroy Israel.
Wow. I mean, listen, I'm not going to get into the whole anti-Semitic thing, because the thing that people don't understand is the term anti-Semitic. Yes, it's been applied to a people who identify as being Jewish. Okay. But the term anti-Semitic makes absolutely no sense. When you look at the term Semitic, you essentially, it means a derivative of someone who comes from Shem. Well, how do you determine you come from Shem? You can make a claim that you do, like, say, for example, there are some men who claim that they are women and some women who claim that they are men. You can identify as something and not be it. So making an identity claim about being Semitic it's really subjective. It's like someone would call me black. I wouldn't identify as black because I know I'm not black, but they would call me black because I live in America. I'm from, essentially my ancestors were here. So they would say that, oh, you're black, or you're a black American, or you're an African American. So they would ascribe that term on me, but I'm actually a Hebrew. All right. I come from Eber. We come from actually ethnic Israelites. But again, I want to transition back to this because he said a lot. All right. So again, that's his argument. And so according to John Hagee, modern Iran, which historically was called Persia, is fulfilling the prophecy of Ezekiel chapter 38. But once we actually examine the biblical text, there are several problems with that interpretation. So I'm going to list them in succession, so to speak. So Persia alone isn't the prophecy. Okay, that's the first problem. Persia is not the only nation that's mentioned in the prophecy. You can go to Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5. It says that Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. This was the reason. Well, I don't know if this was the reason, but one of the reasons why they got rid of Gaddafi. I mean, look at it. Libya is mentioned in the prophecies. They can't have Libya being exalted. They can't have Ethiopia and nations like Persia. They can't have those nations exalted. So Persia is only one nation within a much larger coalition. Okay. When he says that this is a fulfillment of prophecy, Iran, that's a limited choice fallacy. A limited choice fallacy operates when you take one thing and then you rule out every other one. It's like saying, oh, Semitic, you're not a patriotic American. I pay my taxes. I'm in the United States military. So, whoa. So obviously I care about the people in this country. However, you can't say I'm not a patriotic American because I'm doing the things that patriots would do. So it doesn't make any sense when he says, oh, Iran fulfills the prophecy when other countries are listed in them. But when prophecy or prophetic teachers like him, he's been, calling out prophecies, and this is why they have him speaking in front of the vast majority of the community as an evangelical spokesman. When prophecy teachers talk about this passage, they tend to focus almost entirely on Iran because they're anti-Muslim. They're afraid of Muslims so much because they're Sharia law, and they don't let their women wear anything that the women want to wear. Okay, well, look at America. America's absolutely lewd. You can wear whatever you want to wear. Pornography is rampant. I mean, I can go on and on. So this idea that Iran lacks discipline is absolutely not true. This idea that Muslims are not disciplined people is absolutely not true. The text itself clearly describes multiple nations joining together, not Iran acting alone. That's the first point I want to make. And the second point is this: Gog is the leader, not Persia. There is a resource that's much larger than them. Okay? They are an issue. Oh, better believe they are. But the second problem is the structure of the prophecy itself. The passage is actually talking about a leader that is called Gog of the land of Magog. That's Ezekiel 38, verse 2. Gog is the one leading the invasion. You don't even know it. You might not even know it. So we see all these reports about, this country doing this country doing that. And then you hear from their leaders, but you might not hear from the people who are actually influencing their leaders. So Gog is the one leading the invasion. Persia is not the leader. So when someone says Iran fulfills the prophecy, they're talking about a geographical location. They're not talking about an actual people. At least they assume that they are, but they don't know. And moreover, they're skipping over the central figure in the passage. The prophecy is about Gog and his coalition, not Persia by itself. Okay? And then the third point is that, again, like I mentioned, you have a geography problem. You have a geography issue. That's the third issue. Geography matters in Scripture. In Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 15, it says that the invading forces come from the far north. Now, if you look at the map, Iran is east of Israel, not north. Like north of what? Okay, if it's north of Israel or modern Israel or Palestine or the ancient land of Canaan, like that wouldn't be the north. Iran wouldn't be the north. So it creates a serious geographical problem with their, so-called hermeneutic. The prophecy specifically says that the invasion comes from the north, not the east. All right. And so point number 4 in his argument is you have a timing issue. The fourth issue is the conditions that are described in the prophecies. For example, Ezekiel 38, verse 8, it describes Israel as a land of unwalled villages. Okay. So wait one second. The modern state of Israel is one of the most fortified and militarized nations in the entire world. They have America for crying out loud. One of the most powerful empires, literally the beast with iron teeth. We're talking about America. Israel is not a heap of rubble in terms of their military force. Again, they have America. The modern state of Israel is one of the most fortified and militarized nations in the entire world. So there are endless security barriers, advanced defense systems. I mean, people pride, they're the highest IQ nation on the earth. Okay, according to them, and according to other, so-called scholars and scientists, according to them, if you believe in that, that type of science, that pseudoscience of IQ. So this, moreover, I'll say they are constantly ready for military. Why? How do I know that? Because these Muslim nations have been trying to acquire peace, negotiate peace with them for decades, and nothing's happened because they don't want peace. If they wanted peace, this would have been over with. So the conditions described in Ezekiel do not match the modern situation today because they don't fulfill the prophecy of being the Israelites that were said to return to the land. They don't. So this is not a fulfillment of prophecy. It's not. Wars and rumors of wars, we're going to hear it. Okay? So I want to end with this, okay? Because I want to slow this down and actually read the text carefully. And this is what you should do when everyone talks out when everyone uses biblical prophecy to make an argument. Okay? The prophecy in Ezekiel 38 is not about Iran alone attacking the Israelites or attacking those who identify with Israel. You go to Luke chapter 21, verse 24. It says that the Gentiles will rule in that land until the second coming of Christ. So what does that say? They are Gentiles. Those people in Israel right now are Gentiles. They're not ethnic Israelites. And then this prophecy, it describes a coalition of nations that are led by Gog, coming from the north, attacking a land that is living securely without walls. Does that sound like them? No. So when modern political events are forced directly into ancient prophecy, it leads to these type of interpretations that sound convincing but are not actually matching the biblical text. But good biblical line upon line, precept upon precept requires something very simple. Read the passage carefully, and that's all you have to do. Now, if you enjoyed this biblical analysis, or if you enjoy biblical analysis like this, make sure you subscribe and support your friend, your brother, and share the video, and let me know in the comments what other prophetic claims you want to examine next, or what other prophetic claims you've heard. You can email me, and I would definitely love to see the video that you're referring to and analyze those videos with you. And so on that, I say shalom.